Hey guys, it's Scott with Scottie B Cards, and in this video, Topps made some changes. Some collectors are really happy and some collectors are really mad. Topps just recently made some changes, and they've said they were going to do this, but now it's actually happening across new product, especially in 2025 Topps Heritage. They're standardizing everything. They're getting rid of things that are unique to specific sets and standardizing to match other sets. I want to talk about the pros and cons of the standardization and what this means for the cards that you like to collect and what it means for the cards you should target and how you can enjoy the hobby if you don't like the standardization. So the very first thing, Topps is making changes. So they're standardizing all sets to have the exact same numbering system. Every single gold is going to be numbered to 50. Every single green is going to be numbered to 99. Every single blue is at a 150. Every single orange is at a 25. Red is at a 5, and so forth. In the past, we've had all of the flagship sets like a Topps Chrome. Those had the traditional rainbow that we know and love. That was a red out of 5, the gold out of 50, the orange out of 25, the green out of 99, the blue out of 150, and so forth. And then we had sets like Topps Heritage, which had the gold out of 5, which are very collected by Heritage collectors. And actually, I love the gold out of 5. I'm not really a Heritage collector. I love those cards. And so that is now changed. That's now gone. We also had the black in this set, very similar to the black in the flagship sets, where it's numbered to the year it's based off of for Heritage. So this year is numbered to 69, the Shohei Ohtani year from 2018. And then in that particular year, I think the black flagship set was numbered to 67. And that goes up 1 every single year for both of those. And Topps is actually keeping those two particular things exactly the same. In those two sets, they know collectors like them. They know there's player runs. People really try to get those every single year, but they're changing everything else. They're now changing the gold out of 5 to gold out of 50, and there's a red out of 5 in Heritage. They're also getting rid of very obscure and not collected very highly, even though it's a collector set, and some collectors seek after these cards more than almost anything else, and that's the throwback variations. This is a throwback variation here, Bobby Wood Jr., usually like 10 to 30 copies, extremely rare, extremely hard to find, and they go for a fortune, but Topps has gotten rid of those. So what does this mean for the hobby? Well, collectors are mixed about the new Heritage change. I actually asked them. This big, huge, long thing is basically just saying red is at a 5 now, gold is at a 50 now. This is happening across all sets. Do you like this change? And it was truly a 50-50 split with 1,000 viewers and about 400 voters. There's a lot more voters now. I think it's about like 600 voters, but it's still almost 50-50. And it's one of those things where people, some are happy, some are sad. Some people who are in the hobby longer are more of the ones that are upset about it. Some that are opening packs and in the hobby not quite as long, they're more happy about it because one, it makes things make more sense across the board. You don't have to worry about like random things being worth more money when the 60, 70 sets that Topps produces every year. But two, it makes things easier to pull, which is nice. And it just makes things more straightforward. So let's talk about the good and the bad. So the bad, a lot of sets will lose their identity. We saw this happen to Bowman's Best a few years ago. The atomic parallel in Bowman's Best was introduced back in 1997. And in 1998, it has this atomic look, this sapphire type design. And that started again in 2015 when Bowman's Best was introduced all the way until like 2022, I believe, where they got rid of it. And now it's exclusive just to the sapphire set. So now that is gone. And now we're seeing this gold out of 5 Ohtani would not exist now. It's like a $30,000 card. Now it's going to be gold out of 50 just to match like Topps Chrome and to match other sets. They did this exact same thing with the flagship set in 2025 Topps Series 1, and now it's applying to other sets and kind of taking away that legacy a little bit. So the golds out of 50s, the reds out of 5 are in every set, and that's bad because of just dilution and pure just flooding the market. Historically, I've collected Billy Butler, and the fun thing about his era in 2008 to 2016 or so is there's hardly any red refractors. You had Bowman Chrome for a long time because even Topps Chrome in the early 2010s, the reds were out of 25, and so Bowman Chrome was like the only set you could get reds out of 5. And then later they changed it so the reds are out of 5 in Topps Chrome, which is fine. So there's a couple different sets with reds out of 5. And now everything is going to have a red out of 5. So when I find a red out of 5 Billy Butler, it's very exciting and hard for me to find. But when I find a red out of 5 of Corbin Carroll, it's not rare, really at all. You could find multiple reds out of 5 in the same set from all the different inserts and all the different short prints and all of that different stuff. So we're seeing that happen, and that's a negative because it can dilute everything. Topps Heritage lost the gold chromes. We already talked about this. The sets are losing their identity a little bit. And it makes me wonder if because of this dilution and there's just so many options and there's not really a hierarchy as there used to be, which I don't know if that really matters as much as I think it does and other collectors think that it does. But I do think that there's a chance RPAs like Dynasty or Transcendent or Diamond Icons, those higher end sets, kind of follow the basketball and football model because there's just so many different golds out of 50 that which one's really worth the most. Obviously, we'd guess Topps Chrome or Topps Chrome Sapphire, but who knows? And so it's one of those things where I could see it changing the way way things are collected. The good is new and old collectors. So the people that are new in the hobby that have no idea what a gold heritage out of 5 is, they will know exactly what the card's numbering is based off of the color of the card. They can know that without being not tricked. No one's tricking these collectors, but they'll know exactly what's going on based off of the color. And that can be a good thing. And it's just consistency across the board, which is always a good thing. Well, typically a good thing. Topps is just trying to keep both types of collectors happy. So we have traditional collectors who just buy singles. Then we have the people who open packs. They're trying to keep both of them happy. I would argue that the black parallels in flagship that we talked about and the black parallels in heritage are them saying, okay, these are important to you, we'll keep them. And they're also saying across the board for everybody else opening packs, we're going to make it more simple for you. So that's one of the goods. And that's one thing that this change is doing that some people love. The black parallel fiasco showed that not many collectors really care about a specific card as much as I thought. I remember when they made this change, we found out that the black parallel is going to be non-existent in Series 1, Topps Series 1 in this year. I thought it was going to be a big deal. Some people were upset, but it was like the vocal minority. Most didn't care. Most don't open hobby boxes enough to pull a black, and they don't really collect the black. They just buy what they like. So it's one of those things where maybe it's not that big of a deal, but some of the most hardcore collectors for Topps, they are upset about it. So what do you do if you don't like what's going on? I say look to 90s collectors. I'm not recommending you buy 90s cards. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are two reasons why 90s collectors collect what they like and they collect what they do. The first one is they like the players in that era, which is important, and they like the era. Like that's it. Some of these cards, like the 24 karat gold, those go for a ton of money for even no-name players. The number to 24, they're really rare, great design. We have the Star Rubies, we have the PMGs, even like this 1997 Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor. It might be 1998 actually, but either way, they like the era. So you can collect the era, and that is what you can do right now. If you really hate what Topps has done, and this is kind of what I'm doing, I don't hate what Topps has done, I just don't know if there'll be as much value. I like collecting from the years 2000 and probably 11 to 2018. I think that's like my favorite era of collecting outside of the 90s, and you can do that. You can buy the stuff from the previous era because like every decade, things just change. Look at the 90s versus the 2000s, the 2000s versus the 2010s, the 2010s versus the 2020s. Things are changing, and you have to just kind of keep what you like and go after what you know. So it's okay for Topps to change to match what customers want. If demand drops drastically, I imagine Topps is going to rein it in a little bit. They're going to cut sets, they're going to make it more straightforward, they're going to make less parallels because they don't need it. And so that's kind of how it's just kind of an up and down type situation. But like I mentioned, from like 2005 to 2020, it was kind of that own era that's self-contained. So if you enjoy that, don't be afraid to go after it. And with that being said, cards from this era in the 2020s is still going to hold value. It's just going to be probably different than what it was previously. And like I want to point that out a little bit more. Every decade and every rookie has cards that are sought after, even junk wax players like a Ken Griffey Jr. or a Barry Bonds. Their cards on paper shouldn't be worth very much, but there's some really valuable cards of those guys, whether they're the Tiffany or whether they're looking into the 90s or they're non-rookie cards and so forth. So it may or may not be rookie cards like I mentioned with the 90s cards, but overall, this change was inevitable. I think it's overall good and bad, right? It's nice that we have consistency, bad that things are diluted, bad that we're losing some of the identity in some of these sets like Heritage. You can argue both sides. So please do that. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this change, if you like it, and if you're on the side of I like the consistency, or if you're on the side of keep everything the same as it was, the hobby didn't need changing. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.